Why, Nne? Why must this happen again? Ada cried out to her mother, Onyi, as they returned from the funeral, her voice laced with despair. Onyi, her own eyes filled with tears, wrapped her arms around her daughter. I don't know, Ada. I wish I could take away your pain, but we must be strong. We must have faith, she said, though her voice betrayed her doubt. In a small village in the far east, there lived a young woman named Ada. She was known for her beauty and kind heart, but also for a sorrow that seemed to cling to her like a shadow. Despite her many suitors, fate seemed cruelly intent on keeping her from the altar. The first man to approach her was Chidi, a promising young farmer. Their love was the talk of the village and their wedding was eagerly anticipated. But on the eve of their union, tragedy struck. Chidi was struck down by a rare and incurable illness, leaving Ada heartbroken and the village in shock. Ada, my love, I don't know what cruel twist of fate this is, Chidi whispered, his voice weak but filled with emotion as he lay on his deathbed. But know that my love for you will never die, even if I must leave this world. Ada, tears streaming down her face, held his hands tightly. Don't say that, Chidi. We'll find a way. We'll get through this together, she replied, though her heart was heavy with the knowledge that their dreams were slipping away. Days later, Chidi gave up the ghost. Time passed and Ada's heart began to heal. She met Emeka, a kind-hearted merchant, and once again love blossomed. But as if history was repeating itself, a terrible car accident occurred on their wedding day, claiming the lives of Emeka and his family. Why, Nne? Why must this happen again? Ada cried out to her mother, Onyi, as they returned from the funeral, her voice laced with despair. Onyi, her own eyes filled with tears, wrapped her arms around her daughter. I don't know, Ada. I wish I could take away your pain, but we must be strong. We must have faith, she said, though her voice betrayed her doubts. Distraught, Ada sought answers from a powerful Dibia. She approached the Dibia's hut with a heavy heart, the weight of her sorrows pressing down on her shoulders. Dede, please, you must help me, Ada pleaded, her voice trembling with desperation. I don't understand why this is happening to me. Why am I caused to lose everyone I love? The Dibia, a wise old man with eyes that seemed to peer into the very depths of her soul, regarded her with a somber expression. He threw his cowrie shells and studied them intently before speaking. Ada, my child, the Dibia began, his voice carrying the weight of untold secrets. The answer you seek lies not in the stars nor in the spirits, but within your own family. Go home and ask your mother about the past. Only she can unveil the truth that will set you free. Shaken by his words, Ada hurried back home, her mind a whirlwind of emotions and unanswered questions. As she approached the compound, she spotted her mother, Onyi, sitting outside, her hands idly working on a piece of cloth. The sight of her mother, usually a source of comfort, now filled Ada with a sense of foreboding. Mother, Ada began, her voice trembling slightly. I went to see Dede today. He told me that there's something in our past, something hidden that's causing all this pain. Onyi's hands stilled as she looked up at her daughter, her eyes reflecting a deep sorrow. She sighed heavily as if the weight of the world rested on her shoulders. With a gesture, she beckoned Ada to sit beside her. Ada, my child, there are things in this life that we wish we could undo. Choices that haunt us long after they have been made. Onyi began, her voice laced with regret. Many years ago, before you were born, I was in love with a man named Afam. He was kind, brave, and he loved me dearly. We were to be married, but fate had other plans. Afam was called to join the army, and after some time, news came that his battalion had been ambushed. I was told there were no survivors. Tears welled up in Onyi's eyes as she continued. I mourned, Dada. I mourned for the love that was taken from me, for the future we would never have. And in time, I tried to move on. I met your father okay and we married. I thought I had found a way to heal, to start anew. The revelation hit Ada like a wave, each word adding weight to the burden she already carried. Her mother's voice seemed to come from far away as if she were speaking through a veil of sadness. But her farm was not dead. He returned years later only to find me married to another. He was heartbroken and in his pain he cursed me. He said that if he could not have me, then no one born of my womb would ever taste marriage. Onyi reached out, taking Ada's hands in her own. I pleaded with him, tried to make him understand, but his heart was filled with too much hurt. I thought I could protect you from this curse, but I see now that I was wrong. Ada sat in stunned silence, her mind racing to process the story her mother had just unveiled. The pieces of her own shattered love life suddenly made a cruel kind of sense. She felt a mixture of anger, sadness, and a deep aching empathy for the young woman her mother once was. Mother, why didn't you tell me this before? I could have understood. We would have faced this together, Ada said, her voice a mix of reproach and sorrow. I thought I was sparing you the pain, my child. I thought the cause was just the words of a hot man, not a reality that will come to pass. I was wrong, and for that, I'm deeply sorry, Onyi replied, her voice breaking. Determined to break the curse, Ada and her mother sought the help of various herbalists, but none dared to intervene. That was until Laboma, a renowned healer, agreed to perform a ritual. But during the ceremony, Onyi started convulsing, and with her dying breath, she asked Ada for forgiveness. In the wake of her mother's death, Ada resolved to stay on her own. As the days turned into weeks, Ada's isolation grew. She busied herself with tending to her small garden and weaving baskets, finding solace in the quiet rhythm of her solitary life. It was during this time of seclusion that Obidike, a wealthy and successful man from a neighboring village, came into Ada's life. They started off as friends, but as Ada's relationship with Obidike began to blossom into something more profound, she began to feel the familiar stirrings of love in her heart. This realization brought with it a wave of fear and anxiety. The memory of her past suitors, their tragic fates intertwined with her own, haunted her. She couldn't bear the thought of bringing pain and death to another person she cared about. With a heavy heart, Ada started to pull away from Obidike, her demeanor becoming distant and guarded. Obidike, sensing the change in Ada, was puzzled and hurt by her sudden withdrawal. One evening, as they sat by the riverbank, he decided to confront the issue. Ada, I have noticed the change in you, Obidike began, his voice laced with concern. You seem distant. Please talk to me. Have I done something to cause you pain? Ada looked away, her eyes brimming with tears. Obidike, you have been nothing but kind and caring, but I cannot allow myself to be the reason for your suffering. My past is a shadow that follows me, a curse that takes away those I love. Obidike took her hand gently, his gaze steady and reassuring. Ada, I have seen the sorrow in your eyes and I feel the weight of your pain, Obidike said, his voice gentle yet firm. But I believe there's a way to break this curse. My grandmother was a healer and she taught me many things. Trust me, and we'll face this together. Ada's heart ached with a mixture of hope and fear. Obidike, I cannot bear the thought of losing you. My love has only brought pain and death. How can I risk your life for a love that seemed doomed from the start? Obidike cocked her face, wiping away her tears with his tongue. Ada, my love for you is a choice I make every day. It's a risk I'm willing to take because a life without you is no life at all. I'm not going anywhere, Obidike said, his voice firm and filled with conviction. After consultations with a wise sage, together they embarked on a perilous journey to perform a ritual in the sacred grove. As Ada and Obidike ventured deeper into the sacred grove, the atmosphere grew tense and an inexplicable sense of foreboding hung in the air. Despite his outward calm, Obidike knew that the ritual they were about to perform was fraught with danger. The curse they sought to break was potent, its roots entwined with the very essence of the spirit world. As the ritual progressed, Obidike's chants grew more intense, his voice echoing through the forest. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled and a gust of wind swept through the grove, extinguishing the ceremonial flames. Obidike's body was wrecked with spasms and he collapsed to the ground, his face contorted. Ada's heart raced with fear as she rushed to his side. Obidike, she cried, her voice laced with panic. She cradled his head in his lap, her hands trembling as she tried to rouse him. Please don't leave me, she whispered, her tears falling onto his face. In that moment of despair, Ada's love for Obidike shone with a clarity that pierced through the darkness. She closed her eyes and prayed with every fiber of her being, calling upon the ancestors to spare him, to give them a chance at a life together. As if in response, a soft golden light enveloped Obidike and his convulsions gradually ceased. His breathing steadied and his eyes fluttered open, meeting Ada's tear-filled gaze. "Ada," he murmured, his voice weak but filled with wonder. "You saved me." Ada's relief was palpable, and she hugged him tightly, afraid to let go. "I thought I lost you," she said, her voice choked with emotion. Obidike cupped her face in his hands, his eyes reflecting the depth of his feelings. "Your love brought me back, Ada. It is more powerful than any curse." The curse was broken not just by the ritual, but by the unyielding bond between Ada and Obidike. They emerged from the sacred grove hand in hand, their hearts intertwined, ready to face the world together. Ada and Obidike's story was told for generations, a timeless tale of love's triumph over darkness.